I'm so happy. Yes. Um, Thank you so much, you guys, for hopping back on. My name is Priscilla. I am the co-founder of the Moon Artisan, and tonight we have Bella from C3 Crystals. She's going to be discussing all things crystals and their correspondences with chakras, which is, I know, what most of us use our beautiful ladies for, not just for aesthetic purposes, although they are so lovely to look at. But Bella, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do and what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, so one of the things I do is chakra healing and balancing utilizing crystals. I haven't done a session in a while. I do them through distance, not in person in a very long time, unfortunately. But there's ways that you can do them at home yourself too. If you start to feel different imbalances in your body, energetically, depending on how sensitive you are, you might naturally start to feel like, oh goodness, like this chakra is unbalanced, and you can utilize a crystal to help you rebalance that. So it's a nice way to like combine crystals with a little bit of that healing aspect. So I'll kind of just, unless you have specific questions, I can talk a little bit about the different chakras, what they mean. Some people can sense them with their hands. I use a pendulum in my work to sense chakra balances, but
Mhm.
people can just like wave their hands over and sense the imbalance. So some of you watching may be some of those people. But I thought we'd just talk about that. Does that sound good?
Awesome. Sounds great.
Great. So with chakras, what they really mean in Sanskrit, it's related to that wheel, that spinning energy that we have throughout each of our chakras. Now, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say there's just 7. Some people say there's 8. Some people say there's 9 or 10 chakras. There's
Mhm.
hundreds of chakras. There's tons of,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of
Mhm.
go from the prescription of, I'm gonna have to count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm like, just had to trust myself. 7 chakras.
Mhm.
So utilizing the main 7 that when I work with chakra energy and healing energy, I don't go into the other stuff as well too. So yeah, combining crystals with each of the energies is really nice. And unfortunately, I can't like upload documents. That would be cool. But there's
Mhm.
Google like chakra imbalance symptoms. You can actually see maybe some of these like chronic symptoms you've had, if there's any relationship to an imbalance, maybe an overactive or an underactive chakra, and utilizing certain crystals to balance them. So that's a really
Mhm.
nice way. Like if you've got, of course, always check with a medical doctor. We always have to say that for our cover ourselves. But if you've done that and it seems
Yeah.
like, where they tell you it's stress related, that could also be an indication of chakra imbalance. And
Mhm.
other things too, not having any dreams, things like sleeping next to your cell phone. So for those of you that sleep with your cell phone on your nightstand, yeah, or in your pillow, it will affect your dreams.
Yeah.
So it can actually prevent you from dreaming. It'll mess with that part of your body. So that can actually prevent you from getting a lot of information that, if you believe in like spirit or things sending information to you, it can actually prevent that. Because a lot of us get that through teamwork. So
Right.
things like the technology around us can
Mhm.
affect our chakras. Energies from other people. For those of you that work in like healing professions, if you're like a Reiki practitioner, even counselor, nurses, doctors, teachers, where you're like working with people, that can really affect it, especially, or even just negative people, right? You're around someone who's got this negative energy, they're bringing you down, that can throw things out of whack too. So, what do? You use your crystals, right? Go
I
through
love.
each chakra. If anyone has questions, I can see the when we do the double screen, it just says like one line. Or if you have any questions, let me know.
Well, I think I have like no. I know that you study this a lot more than I do, but like just from like my personal practice, I approach my spiritual practice in a very like scientific way. Like I like that what do you call it? The scientific method, right? Like I'll try this and then document how it works, how I feel, how it made me feel, what dreams came from it, like all these little things. I like to document it and compare, you know, different scenarios. And so for me, I don't know if this has like if it's a thing, but like for me, my bracelets, I like to wear them on my left hand. And I just, from my previous like studies, I know that I know Reiki. So you know that well, I don't know if you know, but basically your right hand is the hand that exerts energy, and your left hand is the one that takes in energy, right? And so I've felt it's easier for me to receive the information from the crystal when I am wearing it on my left hand. But like this isn't ever a conversation I've had with another practitioner. So like, do you know if that's like maybe like you have more information on that? Is it a thing or is it just my head?
No, it totally could be. And that's the thing with crystals is each person is going to have a way they hold and work with the crystal that's going to work best for them. But yeah, your left hand's your receiving hand. So it would make total sense why you felt strengthened wearing your bracelets, your crystal bracelets on that left hand to receive the energy of the crystals and then releasing it from the right hand. So it totally makes sense to me that that's how you would feel.
Yeah.
That's kind of the cool thing about crystals, right? It's like we all kind of have our own thing that works for us. And I can tell you all something, but you know, if your right hand works for you, like cool, do it. But yeah, the left hand traditionally is that receiving energy hand. So there are a lot of practitioners, and I've done the several different trainings. I did the hibiscus moon one recently just because I'd never done that one, thought it was fun. And she does really preach the utilizing the left hand. I'm holding my rose quartz, we'll show you in a minute. Left hand on the crystal, at least at minimum. Now, when you're doing chakra healing specifically, I usually don't hold the crystals. I'll try to use tumbles for chakra healing specifically. So we can place it on the location of the chakra. As you can imagine, this one would be kind of heavy on your heart chakra.
On your forehead.
Hold this. Rose quartz. So yeah, you'd want to use tumbles in that scenario. But like if you're meditating, so a lot of people like to meditate with spheres. I would use both hands on the sphere, but if you have a palm, some people just like the palm stone in their left hand when they meditate. So yeah, I totally think that's valid. Absolutely.
Awesome. And so, I'm just gonna, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway as a probing question because I know a lot of the viewers here want to know. We live in the age of modern technology and we're all stuck on our phone all the time. So that's a big deal. You know, we all have our phone either on our nightstand or our bed with us. We sleep with it or it's on our nightstand. Like, fight me. It's like everybody does.
Yeah.
So how do we protect ourselves, and how can we increase our dream development when we also like can't not be away from our phones?
Great question. I get this one quite a lot. The best thing you can utilize is black tourmaline. Black tourmaline and pyrite, actually. They're going to have an iron base. And I actually have a customer who she actually has an EMF measuring gun. It's a tool. I couldn't call it a gun. It's a tool, I guess. She's actually measured utilizing black tourmaline in between her and some of her heavy machinery that she uses for her business. And she actually was able to measure the decrease in the electromagnetic frequency just by having black tourmaline in front of it. So usually if I'm doing like a private session with someone and they want me to help them grid their house and, you know, protect from more of that electric magnetic energy, it's black tourmaline all over the house. Every corner, wherever you want to put it, because even if you were to like turn off your Wi-Fi in your house, and that's another thing you can do, turn the Wi-Fi off at night. You have it on a timer, but even if you turn it off, most of us live in neighborhoods. Unless you live out in the boonies, you're going to still get your neighbor's Wi-Fi, you know? So the best thing is black tourmaline around your house, all the corners. And it's a form of gridding too, protecting from negative energy, but it also protects from EMF. If you must sleep with your cell phone by your side, a line of black tourmaline in between you and the cell phone. And then on the other side of the black tourmaline, I would put labradorite because that's going to be your zone, maybe some labradorite under your pillow as well, help enhance. You know, you could always do some moldavite if you're feeling brave under your pillow.
Oh, girl.
Dream work. But labradorite's very like, you know, calm, soothing, dream energy. So really just beefing up on black tourmaline. It's really affordable, fortunately. You can get like
Super.
chunks for pretty cheap. All over your house. Just make sure kids and pets don't get it. And you can tape it to the ceiling. I've done that. I got a toddler.
To the ceiling?
Mm-hmm. I'll tape it
What?
in the corner. Yeah, because he'll move it and pick it up. And so I'll just tape it in the corner or like just clear tape like over the door, a little extra protection. But yeah, EMFs are, it's just kind of what it is, you know, there's not a ton we can do. You do what you can, don't get too crazy, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I also use black tourmaline. Shungite.
Yeah. Oh, shungite
Yeah.
too.
Shungite. I think it's a little more expensive though, right, than tourmaline?
It is a nice option, but just it's expensive. It comes from Russia, so a little pricier. Yeah, tourmaline's really, really affordable, so it's a nice alternative. But shungite, there are some really gorgeous carvings of shungite out there.
Yes, there is. And I mean, like, I know for my, even for myself, like, I have to, well, you know, as a crystal shop owner, you have to stay up sometimes really late to be able to talk to people on the other side of the world. I'm literally like with one eye open, like with like people from like, you know, India and China, like talking, trying to catch them at like their 2 p.m., my like 2 a.m. And I'm like, I can't just, it's like, you know, a crystal hunt. You're never not on the hunt for your product when you're in the crystal business. So you're constantly looking for your customers, and a lot of the time it's like it's late, and so you can't not be away from your phone as a crystal shop owner. And I'm sure that that's not, it doesn't just apply to our profession. I'm sure it applies to so many others. So it's really valuable information to have. And like you said, even if you don't have a lifestyle that requires your phone at all times, you're still either in a neighborhood where there is, you know, the cell phone towers, and you're getting all that good old 5G and all of that. So
Kind of
yeah.
like, don't drive yourself crazy, you know, just do the best you can do, and that's all we can really do. We can't like obsess, you know, it'll drive we do that.
And so is it okay to be flexible with the, I feel like there's like the standard like stones for each chakra. Like we think of the heart chakra, we think of green aventurine, we think of like the root chakra, we think of red jasper, and like there's like these standard, but would you say that that it's okay to like use certain stones for more than one chakra? For example, maybe like what is it? I think it's a golden healer. It can be used for both the sacral and the solar plexus, right? So like, I don't know. I feel like people kind of sometimes get stuck on like just those like common stones when there's like so much more that you can explore with, and like it's also like you can also use them for other chakras. It's not like just one. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you know, there's the standard set, which I do recommend for beginners, like just go with the basic, get out some rose gold. But once you get more into it, different people are going to react to different crystals. So like, you know, heart chakra, you might also look at like rhodonite or rhodochrosite, you know, a lot of those pink crystals, that pink energy. So there are lots of other crystals that you can use. The only thing I do recommend people be cautious with, I've seen some charts recommend black obsidian for their root chakra, and I just think it's a little harsh energy wise. It's more for like a deeper dive into spirituality. So that's the only one I don't recommend for chakra work, because there's literally like tons of other crystals you can use for chakra. But yeah, red jasper, you know, is going to be one of the most common ones, and that's what you'll see in like chakra kits that different shops sell. You can use them, great, but like, yeah, golden healer can be used on multiple chakras. You know, you can even use different more rare crystals as well too. Like I think I have like throat chakra. I mean, not a lot of people have blue lace agate, but you could use blue lace agate. That's not really a common one you think of for throat chakra. But when you think about blue lace agates, that communication blockages, it's totally going to be throat chakra, sorry, throat chakra related crystal. So yeah, you can totally get creative in terms of getting outside the normal, like moss agate for heart chakra too. Those green or pink usually are going to be good with those. And then, of course, I usually only use quartz for the crown chakra. You can use some other different types of quartzes, but I just like standard clear quartz, just personal preference.
Yeah, and I get too that like when people are new to crystals or new to spirituality in general, and they're still, you know, trying to see if it's even anything they're going to stick to, they probably don't want to spend a lot of money on like, you know, a Peruvian rhodonite or like, you know, it's like they're just like, I just want the basics to kind of like get my feet wet. That's understandable. But yeah, like you said, I definitely do. I do encourage that once people have established a relationship and feel the energy, the crystal healing, I think it's good for them to explore into other stones because it can be really fun, you know, just like you kind of like, I don't know, it's something so simple like a stone, right? And then you actually give it a try, you give it a chance, and then you see like it actually works, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Like this actually works. So I just think that that initial experience is so fun, and it also allows you to become more aware of the subtle body, your intuition, like being able to feel those subtle energies, right? So not only are you healing your body, your chakras, and all of that, but you're also connecting with your spiritual body at a whole nother level, right? Which is so amazing. I think
Absolutely.
we have a question.
Oh, do we have a question? I'm afraid it'll drop on me.
Oh, Trina Hillary says, meant to be listening to this. I have a Labradorite under my pillow and was sitting with my golden healer all evening last night. Oh, look at that. I love synchronicities. Yeah, I think that was the only one.
I just see
Unless I missed another one.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, Camera, I see her comment. She says, when getting a crystal, should it be programmed?
When you get it, I would program it. You can. Some practitioners don't think programming is necessary, that the crystal just works on its own energy. It depends on what I'm going to use it for, whether I'll program it. It's totally personal preference. If I do a chakra healing, I will program all of those crystals for the person, and I like to give them those crystals. So I don't like to reuse them once I've cleansed somebody, but I do program them to work for that person. But it's totally personal. Some practitioners don't do it at all. Question.
I know that is a good question. I like to program crystal skulls because they look like a little person. That's just me. Like I feel like I connect with them differently because they look like a person, right? And so you already have like that subliminal connection of it looking like a person. And, you know, like I just love to work. Like I have my pyrite skull for manifestation, you know, for wealth and abundance. It's on my prosperity altar. And then I have another one she's my obsidian bad bitch. And she's like the one I've programmed to protect me, to protect my home. And I have my rose quartz one, which like helps me connect with my goddess vibes and all of that. So I don't know, just throwing that idea out there. If anyone wants to work with crystal skulls that way, I think it's a really cute way, a really neat way.
Yeah.
Oh, what is programming? Says Ness.
What is programming? Programming a crystal is giving it a job, essentially. So how I might program a crystal is really quite simple. I talk to the crystal. So you do look like the crazy person talking to your crystals. I don't know what your process is too, but I literally will cleanse it. However, either like with a sound bowl or with smoke. I like to use frankincense and myrrh a lot for cleansing. And then I'll just be like, Crystal, I would like you to do this. And then that's it. I literally just talk to it. I don't know what your process is though.
It's a lot like that, except mine is because I practice other traditions. My spiritual practice is very elaborate. So I've got like the candles going on. I've got like a sigil going on. I've got like that moment where you're charging the sigil and you're setting your intention and you're doing a lot of visualization, and like a lot of that is going into like whatever it is on my altar, which is comprised of all those things plus more, plus this crystal that I'm working with. So it kind of is and it kind of isn't. It's like not. I think your process is a little more direct, like one-on-one with the crystal, and versus how mine is a little more like a like I'm multi-charging everything on my altar. You know what I mean? So, but it's very similar, and yeah, there's more ways too, not just that one.
Oh yeah, I love that idea too. I love that it becomes kind of this ritual too with the candles. I love that idea.
Someone asked, what shape of a crystal would you use a chakra? Oh, would you use for chakra work? So, is there a specific crystal shape we should be using for chakra work?
For like most of the time, you're good with tumbles. Tumbles are fine. They're affordable, easy to use, or palm stones, because you're going to physically lay them on the body when you're doing that kind of work. So something light and easy. The only thing I will do sometimes is I will use a heart shape sometimes with heart chakra. So your rose quartz in a heart shape is nice. The heart shape is just going to amplify the intention of the heart chakra. There are some other practitioners who might use oh my God, what are the lady bits? What are they called? The yonis, the lady bits?
Oh, the yonis, yes.
The lady bits. So that's what I'll call them. You know what I'm talking about? They'll use
I do.
if they're having the sacral chakra, the sexual chakra. So if they're having is with their sacral chakra, it's related to any type of sexual. Might utilize like a carnelian of the yoni. I call them lady bits, but yonis.
I love that.
Yeah, you could. And then, you know, I don't know about like the phallus, like the penis shape. Can I say penis? I think I can. I just said
right.
The penis.
Whatever.
You know,
we can say whatever you want, girl. We believe in cuss words in this house.
Oh, we're gonna the penis shape would work too, like a small one on top of you, just like anything else. There are practitioners who use them internally that I know that are like, that's how you really clear the chakra. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, no judgment. That's cool if it's yours. Like, no judgment here. So you could just make sure, of course, whatever you're using internally is safe to use internally.
Yeah.
But externally, you can use the sacral chakra area, which is like right below the belly button.
Gotcha. What about, let me make sure I haven't missed any comments. HR Letta asked about my earrings. These are from the Lunar Conjure. She's amazing. Camera says, I recently got a Moldavite a Moldavite that seems to help with without programming. Yeah, Moldavite is so strong, I don't need no programming. If you have a, Jill King says, if you have a pendant that has a point, is it true it should not point down? I recently heard that.
I've never heard that. That's kind of how I know when there's a blockages, because I use a pendulum to do kind of an assessment to see where someone's blockages are. And usually when I get like a nice even spin, I know we're good. If I get reversed, I know there's some blockage. But if it's completely blocked, the pendulum will literally hang straight down and not move. It's quite interesting. If you ever get into crystal work to really see it for yourself, it's kind of like you were saying too, see them work. When I first started doing chakra healing and I saw that, I was like, did that just, like, it would literally pull. Almost I could feel like a tension pulling the pendulum where it was blocked. That's how I knew that I was going to work with the pendulum to do healing, because it was very powerful for me. So I've never heard any issue with it pointing down, you know, using them for any kind of pendulum board work. No, haven't heard that. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
I hadn't heard that one either, but you know, you really have to, that's good that they're asking these questions, right? And you should always ask questions and you should always dig for answers, because although this is the wonderful age of the internet, there's also a lot of trash out there.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful where you're getting your content from. I see a comment from Crystal Carrillo. She says, do you just place the crystal on a specific chakra and envision it being cleared and aligned?
Yeah, so usually you can get a couple of really good chakra meditations on YouTube and they talk you through it. They're guided meditations, especially if you're new, that's the best way to do it because you would just place the crystals on the chakra and even without assessing, like let's say you're like assessing and figuring out what's blocked and not is too much for me. You can just do them all. It's not going to hurt anything. It won't make them overactive if they were fine. And so you
Mhm.
has some really wonderful guided chakra healing meditations, but on your own, what I might do is first, I like to do a visualization of a protective shield around me. So depending on what's going on or with a client, I'll put black tourmaline all around as a
Mhm.
protective shield first. From any negative energy, I like to connect and say, you know, only light and love in this moment. So I have some rituals that I do with the healing for myself and my clients. And then I'm going to utilize golden light first for overall cleanse. And then I'll go through the color of each chakra, and it's a visualization of that color amplified by the crystal to complete the healing. So you could do chakra healing without crystals. Crystals, of course, are amplifying that intention.
Mhm.
I find for me, they work much better than just without using crystals. But again, every practitioner has their own thing, and there's no judgment on how people like to do it, of course.
Right. And yeah, I think there's like a whole thing on like the shapes, right? Like how a sphere is like it sends the energy out and everywhere, and then like the double points will kind of shoot them out in their respective points, and then et cetera, et cetera, right? So that's also really cool. That's like a whole other lecture, right?
Other lecture we could talk. I think I did a video once on shapes of crystals, but yeah, so spheres, you can use a sphere for a chakra healing. Again, you get that circular, and spheres just emit energy the farthest, but have spheres, like use what you have, but honestly, like tumbles are cheap and easy. It's great to have a tumble kit. The only thing I don't recommend is don't go buy a chakra kit on Amazon. Most of those are just resin. They're fake. Buy it from a crystal seller on IG.
Or
Most
eBay, also eBay.
or don't go on eBay. Even Etsy is kind of iffy unless you know the seller like is legit,
Mhm.
because a lot of them are fake, and so you're just going to be paying money for resin. So I really would recommend buying from a shop on IG that has the kit, that it's like actual crystals, not resin.
Agreed, agreed. Someone else is saying, what crystal do you recommend for a beginner to learn?
For like chakra healing, I would say rose quartz. Rose quartz,
Hmm.
heart chakra healing. Most of us have some kind of trauma regarding heart chakra work. So that's going to be your easiest, safest. It's like literally crystal 101, rose quartz, amethyst. But amethyst
Hmm.
in this scenario, that'd be like a third eye. And if you're not ready for that, it might be too much for you. But rose quartz is safe.
Yes, definitely. I would agree. Rose quartz or maybe also even clear quartz. But I feel like rose quartz is very good, like you said, for that. Everybody does have some, even if I don't care if you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth, like everybody has some sort of issue that they're meant to work through in their life, no matter what. So we can all use a little bit of that heart healing energy, no matter who you are, right? And then I think clear quartz is just like that the jack of all trades, right? So you can use it for everything. So that's also a really good beginner one.
Just be careful where you put it because it'll amplify anything.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That is super true. Yeah. So like do you mean like if you put it in what scenario would it be bad to amplify something?
So it'll amplify the energy in a space. It'll also
Mhm.
amplify a crystal. Clear
Mhm.
quartz is one of the crystals I do always program, because if you don't program it, it just picks up on any kind of energy around it. So for example, if you have it in like your kid's toy room and your kids are screaming all the time and they're yelling, the quartz will amplify the screaming,
That,
yelling energy that might come from that. Or
mhm.
if you work in an environment where people are not very friendly and you've got a clear quartz, it will amplify that if it's not programmed. So I do usually recommend the programming.
I love that. That's great. That's great to know. Someone is asking, how do you know when you're ready for third eye healing?
You will know if it feels right to you to do that work. You'll feel aligned with it. Usually everybody has kind of their tell. So my tell when I'm not ready for something is I get a little bit of an upset stomach. So if my gut is kind of like, now let's not play with that crystal. Like that's how I was with moldavite for a long time. And then one day I got some moldavite in my shop and I was like, all right, I'm just going to turn this and sell it. But then I was like, oh, it actually feels okay now. Like I feel like I'm ready for it now. So it's really trusting your intuition and
Mm-hmm.
looking for that sign that tells you when you're ready or when you're not for any crystal and any kind of healing. And everyone will be different.
Right. I think even in the like the Hindu or Indian, I don't know what correct term is because it's again it's not my practice, but I know in that tradition um they do emphasize working your way up, right? So starting from the root chakra up and healing all those one by one first before you like go straight into like your crown or your third eye or one of those higher chakras because if you're not ready down here, you're not going to be ready up there.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Mhm.
can do the work up framework that works for a lot of people. And that's the cool thing about chakra healing is you get to kind of see what's going to work for you. I
Mhm.
do heart chakra first. I found in my practice that works well, but you can totally do it the other way too. And that's the cool thing. Like there's not really a wrong way to do it.
Mhm.
If it feels good and your intuition is telling you like, oh, I need to work on my root chakra first, but you can totally, and because I've done it, work on just heart chakra with people and then we go and we divvy back because a lot of people, especially like sacral and root chakra, when we talk about trauma, that trauma is usually buried super duper deep and it can be
Mhm.
related to some really not so great past life events. Sometimes those come back, right? Those karmic
Mhm.
bonds come back for us, or it could be related to things in this present life we experience. So sometimes it's hard to get there for me with people that they're not okay with dealing with it, and that's okay too, right? Like everybody.
Yeah.
Heart chakra is usually the easiest one to work through. Throat chakra too is usually a pretty easy one to work with too.
Yeah, and like we all we're all from different paths of life and we all have experienced life differently. So obviously our chakras are going to reflect that, right? We're all not going to we're going to have different imbalances in different places. So it makes sense that you don't maybe always have to start from the bottom up. Maybe like you said, maybe your heart chakra needs the most attention right now and maybe you really need to like give that one the healing it needs first to be able to do the rest, right? Because
Absolutely.
it does it takes a lot of courage to be able to face your deep-rooted trauma.
It does. And, not everybody's in the right space for that when that time comes. But I do tell people too, we can balance your heart chakra. We can do the healing. But if you don't do like the mental work, like you don't kind of take the action, it will just reblock again. So
Yeah.
it is really, we can align it and it'll be temporary if you don't kind of like walk the talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like keep going
Yeah.
we're doing. So that's the hard part for people, right? It's actually we
Mhm.
feel and we feel good and then it's like, okay, but now I have to like take action on this, whatever I'm healing.
Yeah, I do the same. I tell, everybody in my community the same thing. Like as as a crystal shop owner, I think that is a responsibility for you to be able to tell your clients like, hey, these products that I offer are useful and they work, but do not use them as a crutch. You do have to do the work. You do have to continuously, forever, do the work. Like there is no way out of it. You have to. You have to do the work.
It's called life, right? It's called
Yeah.
life. Yeah, it's like if
Uh-huh.
you constantly are getting into like these bad relationships and you keep healing your heart chakra and probably your sacral in that sense too, you could heal them all you want. If you keep going into these relationships, when you get that gut instinct that says like, here we go again. And if you don't back off and say, okay, I've learned my lesson, I'm not going to go into this territory where my intuition is telling me this is another bad relationship. then those chakras are just going to get all thrown out of balance again until
Yeah.
you through that, which sometimes is with like a therapist or a counselor, that talk piece. And then the crystals just help accentuate. And I think they help speed up the process when you're, depending on the work you need. Sometimes you talk to a friend and that helps too. It doesn't have to be like a counselor or therapist.
Mm-hmm. So true. Um, Jill is asking, oh, you answered it. Okay. Yeah, I think she means once you have them all balanced, your chakras, it's continual, right? So yeah, definitely. That's just what Bella said. It's you always have to continue to do the work or else you become unbalanced. And I think like I I love how like the chakra system also aligns well with the planetaries. I'm a very like analytical person, right? So it's really hard for me to like, especially when I was starting my spiritual practice, there's a lot of like fluff out there and you kind of have to like weed out what's good and what's bad. And so, the way I approached things was very like analytically minded. And for me, what makes sense is astrology, because astrology is so mathematical, right? It can be proven. And when you follow these concepts, you almost scare yourself because you realize how, like, dang, like these planets in these areas mean this. And lo and behold, this is happening in my life. Like, it's almost like it gives you goosebumps. And so, like, for me, like that, having the math laid out and the experience at the same time, it makes me trust the process better. It makes me trust the practice better and all these things, right? But I love how, like, the chakra system corresponds with the planets. And during our last live with Brittany, Astro Weather Lady, we were talking about like, just how heavy this time is, right? 2020, 2021. And I had asked her, like, when are we going to feel, the weight of these planets, like, kind of fall off? And she said, there's always going to be bad aspects. There's always going to be something. There's always a challenge, right? There is never there will never be a timeline in which everything is all good or all bad. Like, there's always the good and what's going to be there for you and help you and nurture you to get through whatever's going on. And there's also going to be planets making aspects that are challenging you at all times in different areas. So that's like something that we have to get used to, right? Is that will always be challenges. And since these planets correspond to our chakra system, then we can also know, well, these certain aspects are going to bring up deep-rooted issues, trauma, stuff like that, like what we're going in right now. Then we know we can expect what's going to happen, right? Anticipate it and know that maybe I need to give this area of my life and my chakra system and all these things more attention and be more compassionate towards myself. Because had we lived without all this knowledge, we'd probably kick ourselves in the ass. We'd probably make a lot of mistakes and we would never grow, right? So that's like a perfect example, right, of how the work is really never done.
Absolutely. You think you got something figured out and then something else pops up. You're like, gee, where'd that come from? Like, I thought we were done with this, and then it's back. It's all part of growing, right? As a human, as a spiritual being, and where we transcend and where we go, next time. It's all part of it. It's all a big loop.
I know, the Ouroboros. Trina is saying, what are your thoughts about energy and children? Do they benefit from chakra healing or practice? My girls love crystals, and I have wondered about it.
Depends on their ages. So most practitioners, we kind of have the belief that children's chakras are wide open and like good to go. This is why some people might report their children see things or hear things, and it's just because they're a little bit closer to that than we are. And then we do find that usually when hormones start to kick in, puberty, that the chakras start having those issues. But usually children don't need crystal or chakra, don't need chakra balancing. You can use crystals with your children in other ways. Like, I do keep sodalite in my son's room because it's very calming and soothing, and amethyst, because that's where he sleeps. So you can use them in their rooms and spaces, but they really don't need, they're like wide open. They're good to go. All that joy, no negativity, everything's like exciting and new. Yeah, kids don't need chakra balancing for the most part, I would say. Well, after
Yeah, but agreed. But we can definitely use it, like you said, for to help them in different areas of their life. For example, my one of my kids, I use a lot of fluorite for them because they have ADD. So they have a lot of trouble articulating their thoughts and all that throat chakra energy too. So kind of sodalite is actually really good for that too. But yeah, so if anyone has a child that has ADD, crystals really do help with that also. Hmm.
well, yeah, and the bracelets too, and different, I
Hmm.
haven't seen many shops make bracelets for children, but usually you can just take off a few beads, and it'll fit their wrist.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Definitely. I also, because kids are so sensitive, like you said, and you have, stories of kids saying they see ghosts and stuff like that. I'd advise that, if you're in that type of situation, you can use black tourmaline, right? Or any other protective stone to help your child at least give them some form of protection against whatever entity that is, because you can't see it and you don't know if it's benefic or malefic, right?
Absolutely, yeah. My son's room does have black tourmaline around the bases of his bed. I agree his room as well is doing kind of some protection rituals, but that's a whole other live too. We could do one on protection crystal.
Yes.
Or if you're someone who's a medium and you feel, or you're like, maybe you don't realize you're a full-on medium yet. And
Mhm.
I'm not someone who trains mediums by any chance, but I know people that have had help by putting black tourmaline around the corners of their bed. If you feel like people are bugging you when you're trying to sleep, like not in a negative way, but just like an annoying way, be like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
sleep. So the black tourmaline is excellent for that. On your wrist as well, too. I'm also a counselor, so I'll wear black tourmaline on my wrist just for any energy that people put out there, that you get a lot of negative energy sometimes from people. So it's wonderful for all of that. Black tourmaline's like, everybody needs like a bucket of black tourmaline.
Fuck yes. Yes. I definitely agree. I always have my black tourmaline on also, especially like in big. I'm an empath, and so I feel everything. I feel everyone. I feel it, and so I find that when I'm wearing my black tourmaline bracelet, it kind of like I still just because I'm so I've developed, my senses since I've been practicing for so long, I can still feel, but I definitely feel a big difference from when I wasn't wearing tourmaline. It's such a big difference, such a big difference. Um, and I also feel like, again, like I said earlier, the left hand. For me, it's like not the same. If I wear it on my right hand, I'm just not feeling it. I feel like this is where I'm taking in all that external energy from. And so when it's on my left hand, I feel like it's kind of filtering out all of that bad energy. And
Oh,
to be honest, most people, like, we're such a small community. So like most people out there are fucked up. You know what I mean? So it's more likely than not you're gonna pick up something, so you should, if you're getting into crystal healing or crystals in general for your spiritual practice, I think tourmaline is another one up there with rose quartz that you wanna incorporate in your life. Nana says, I have black tourmaline in all the rooms. That's awesome. I have it everywhere else. So I have it like in the front of my house. There's a shelf as you walk in. There's some black tourmaline in there. I have it in my living room. I have carvings, like you said earlier. You can also, if you don't want to just have a random rock around your house, you can get beautiful Ganesh sculptures. They have even spheres. I feel like spheres look really fancy. They make good like home decor.
they do. There's
Mm.
really cool ones out there, and they're like where they have like the quartz and tourmaline. I actually have one. I don't have it handy, or I'd show you, but it's like almost half black, and then the other half is quartz, and it's super cool.
I love it. Yeah, I have some just black tourmaline spheres. Um, Actually, I had some in my last live sale. People were saying they look like bowling balls because they were like that matted black color. They're so pretty. I love them. Jill says, unless you are a hermit, you're gonna pick stuff up. Unavoidable. Yes, that is so true.
Totally true. That's why it's
Mm-hmm.
off, a little selenite by your shower. That's why I always recommend showering at night. Do that cleansing, get everything off of you before you go to bed. If you're a daytime shower, I do recommend a nighttime shower actually.
Yeah, I shower 2 times a day for sure. My water bill's expensive.
I
But
live
oh, since we're talking about water and selenite, can you talk to us about how we can protect it from water, how we should use it in the shower since I know we can't get it wet?
Absolutely. So I usually just have it outside the shower, usually like behind it. Like I have a standing shower, not like a tub shower in my bathroom. So I just put it right behind it. But also attached to the tub. And so my son uses the tub and he's a toddler and I have the selenite there and he's dunked it a few times and it's been okay. But selenite's not a really expensive either. So, it's like $25 for the sphere. I've had it
Hmm.
4 years. I'm like, if he dunks it a couple times, it's okay. Usually like polish on it though really does protect it. So spheres have a high polish on selenite spheres because they're super, super delicate. So usually a sphere is your best bet in a bathroom. It's going to degrade the least, but like a rough piece of selenite, you drop that in the tub a couple times, it's going to start to disintegrate. Selenite
Yeah.
card too, the plate,
Hmm.
especially the satin spar ones, like the Moroccan selenite, that dissolves faster. I find like the Utah selenite and the Mexican selenite does not dissolve as fast. And I'm a nerd.
Hmm.
I'm like, I put it in water and see, but yeah, the Mexican selenite's pretty hardy. Same with the Utah.
Yeah. I have my personal selenite. I ran out of the ones I had in stock, but I have my personal one, and it's a bracelet. So obviously, you wash your hands all the time nowadays because of the coronavirus. I mean, either way, without coronavirus, you should be washing your hands. But I was so concerned the first time I wore it and washed my hands because it's selenite and you can't get it wet. I was freaking out, and nothing happened to it actually. So I was pretty happy. I wouldn't do it again, but it's also not a huge deal if you do it one time, you know.
Yeah, you get it wet, wipe it off. Plus, the bracelets usually have a high polish on them too to protect them from, getting smacked and getting like stains. So usually those are fine. It's mainly those sticks, the selenite
Yeah.
sticks, just usually dissolve if you leave them in water too long. But even in a steamy shower, I mean, I leave it and I like to take hot showers and I don't find that my sphere has disintegrated at all. And it's gone for some swims in the tub. So
The kid probably thought it was a bath bomb, right?
a few times I'm like digging the tub for it. I'm like, no.
Nena says, can clear quartz also be for cleansing?
Yeah, so some practitioners do use clear quartz for cleansing, and I actually have one here. So you can do kind of a wave over the body, just like you would with a selenite wand. People do use it for cleansing as well, or if you have a clear quartz plate, you can use that to cleanse some crystals on there too. So yeah, totally can. Mm-hmm.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Since we're talking about okay, so like let me ask you this. Does size matter?
Yes and no. Yeah, it depends what you're doing with it, right? So bigger crystal, more energy is going to come off that crystal. So if you're doing a meditation and you just want to meditate and feel some good energy, this is a bit overkill. Like you probably don't need a 5-pound rose quartz to meditate with because this is probably putting off at least like 15 feet of rose quartz energy around you. So yeah, the bigger the sphere, the larger the energy output. I don't know if I have it. Oh, it's too far. I'm not going to reach it. I have like a 26-pound rose quartz tower. It's more like I would use that in a meditation circle. So when I've set meditation circles for people, then I'm going to pull out the like big crystals that are like this size. So I would use something like this also in a meditation circle. But for you by yourself, I think your average like 50 millimeter. I can't, right? Crystal world, we're like all metric system. I'm like, how many is that in inches? Like 50 millimeter would probably be fine or smaller. You're fine with that for by yourself. But yes.
Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that that they extended so far out.
Mm-hmm.
That's new to me. That's
So
cool. And so if we're using it for just like the personal body, is there going to be like a difference in how we feel the energy from like a palm stone versus something smaller like a ring or a bracelet?
yes, and that just depends on you personally. For me, rings don't really do much for me. Like the little, like a ring, a stone in there. Like, except unless it's moldavite, it's a whole different story. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
things, they don't, they're just for me, they're aesthetics. They look pretty. I like them. I wear them. Bracelets, though, work well for me
Mm-hmm.
and things throughout the day. But in terms of meditation, I prefer a minimum of palm stone, depending on what the purpose of the meditation is, or a sphere. I meditate mostly with spheres. That's usually my preference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've found for me, like on the rings, it depends. Like if it's I have to like have the like for example, like I have one of these here. So like the wire wrap ring, you can see the crystal on in the front, but you can also see where it's in the back, right? So for me, like I have this thing where like I need the crystal to be touching me. So I need it to be touching me to be able to feel like the energy from it, right? And so I feel like on some rings you have like the either the brass or whatever that is kind of in between your skin and the crystal, and you're not getting like that energy from it. That's
Yeah,
just how I feel. It, I don't know.
totally. I feel the same way. Yeah, I need it to be,
Mhm.
if it can't be like next to me, I really feel it. I do feel like though, if I'm not meditating like for my space, like my home, that it does help with energy in the home to just like be in the house. But
Yeah.
meditating, I like to touch it. I like to hold them.
Cool. Um, what about like so for children, is there like a a special shape that you like to recommend? Because I know a lot of our followers have kids, their mamas or dads, and they're trying to help their kids incorporate crystals in their life. So I don't know, what kind of shape would you advise for kids?
You know, with kids, I think that the character shapes are fun. So, like, I have some Pokemon for my son that I've gotten, um, Ninja Turtles, little animals, elephants. I think those are all cute and fun. And different animals kind of bring different energies. Like elephant, intelligence, focus. So you can really kind of have fun with it and get different animals based on the meanings. And I think the carvings are pretty much their favorite. Spheres are kind of
Mhm.
boring, right? They want the little animals. If you have carpet in your house, usually you're safe with them if they drop them, because they will. If you have tile or hardwood, you might lose a few. There might be some casualties.
Agreed. Agreed. Especially with a like a double point, right? That's a recipe for disaster. Um, Nakando says, I purchased some items from Bella. New to this, just getting started. Any advice?
Yeah, you're in the right place here. This is a great place to start with chakra cleansing. If you just joined us, you can watch this video. I'm sure you're going to post it on your IGTV. You save them.
Hmm.
Yes.
And YouTube.
Oh, so will it go on, your YouTube, not mine, obviously, right? Because you're recording it. I
Yeah,
felt
but people will eventually find you too on YouTube, so they might head over and ask you some more questions.
come find me. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
starting with basic rose quartz is always a great place to start. Really what crystals you're drawn to. So like if you think something is drawing your attention in, a lot of practitioners really, we think that that's something you need. So if you're really drawn to a particular mineral, that says something. You may want to do a little Google research and see what is the healing powers of this mineral, and like, does that align with you or something you need? That's really a great place to start.
Yeah. Um, Someone else is asking, how often do you cleanse your house?
That's personal preference. Depends on what your neighbors are like, honestly. I've lived places where we had attached walls and I felt like I needed to cleanse like every day, but I didn't. I'd do it like once a month. And then I've lived places where I felt comfortable with not cleansing for 6 months. So it's really when you start to feel off in the house, and this is again tapping into your intuition. The more you do spiritual work, the more you'll be like, ooh, you walk in the house, you're like, okay, this needs to happen today. So really
Yeah.
it out, but it's really personal. Like I said, it depends on the house, the energy, the neighbors. If you've got great neighbors, maybe you don't have to cleanse that often.
Yeah, true, true. I agree. I think that that is very personal. In my practice, I'm a Virgo, so I like routine and I like to be organized and all that. So I just have like clockwork. I routinely cleanse once a month, but that's not like something you have to do. It's just what I prefer to do. But you can definitely just gauge, especially when you're beginning and you can't commit yet to that kind of schedule or whatever. You can definitely just, and which is like the most important part is for you to be able to notice, to see these subtle differences in energy. Because your spiritual practice isn't going to get anywhere unless you're becoming familiar with all these with the subtle energy bodies. Um, Diego says, so the shapes doesn't matter, just what the crystal is? I'm not sure I understand that question.
The shapes do matter, depending on what you're using it for. So it kind of depends.
He says, because usually I just see them for decorations and I don't know. I think they misspelled that. I think they're saying I don't know if they can be certain shapes like figures. Um, so I think maybe they're asking like, you know how like different spirit animals can be carved into different crystals? Maybe that's what they mean.
Maybe, yeah.
And like how you use them.
And so even if you do altars to like ancestors, or if you're doing a crystal grid, you can utilize different carvings depending on the intention of the grid or depending on what you want. So the carving itself, the shape has meaning, as well as the mineral that it's carved from. So there's two parts there, depending on like a little animal. So, with the Pokemons, I always get this one a lot. They're like, what's the purpose of the Pokemon? And I don't there's really a spiritual meaning behind Pokemon. But maybe there is somewhere. For me, it's just they're cute. So for me, I kind of get that like positive energy from them, uplifting energy, and that's my intuition with the Pokemons. But then also protective, right? Because Pokemon's, like, if you look at the characters, now we're doing like a Pokemon analysis. You have children, you make and it's like or protective, and so those are carved into like obsidian, really common with the Pokemon carvings. And so they can have multiple qualities to them.
Yeah. And I know like a lot of people I'm getting the vibe that a lot of people are new here to spirituality. So like a lot of like I've noticed most practices involving manifestation of any form. You can call it magic, you can call it, whatever you want, but a lot of it has to do with the subconscious mind. And so when you're able to connect to an object at a subconscious level, so if you like Pokemon and you know that this Pokemon means protection and it's in obsidian, you're giving this thing correspondences that are going to seep into your subconscious very differently to you than it would to somebody like me who doesn't know about Pokemon. You know what I mean? So we kind of give the stone the meaning, right? When we build that connection and that relationship and those correspondences.
Absolutely. And someone who doesn't know about Pokemon might not even be attracted to a Pokemon crystal. What is that weird little creature,
Yeah. Yeah. But you can definitely, I'm just trying to make sure we answer that question correctly. You can you can use like raw crystals. A lot of home decor tends to be either raw or like on a stand with like the raw cluster, or like you can do spheres, big statement pieces like towers and stuff like that. So they can double right? As like really fancy home decor, while you're also getting the healing benefits from it. Although like there's more nuance to it, right? Like because you want to also remember things like what you said earlier, like you need to be careful where you put clear quartz. Because if you have your kids jumping around like monkeys in the living room, then you're gonna get a lot of that like really high energy that's going to be flying around everywhere. And maybe that isn't the best for your mental health or your emotional body or whatever. So you do need to be careful with all that. Trina says, I love moons and stars. Any words on those shape uses?
Moons are usually like mother energy. So like mothering, but also calming, soothing, very like Cancerian energy. You know, Cancers, I'm a Cancer sun, so love me the moon. Definitely a lot of that kind of energy. It doesn't have to be motherly in like the sense that you are a mom. It could be sometimes like with astrology, it's very like practical, like moon means mom. But it could also be that there's that mothering energy with animals or with pets or with caring for someone. You might be the mom in like your group of friends. You know, that's really the moon has that kind of energy. The star energy, I don't know enough about the star energy to say. Yeah, I don't use a lot of stars. I'm sure it has some kind of meaning. I just don't know it off the top of my head. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said earlier, you are the one who gives it meanings, right? So, um, you know, if you're new to the spiritual community and you're still trying to find your practice, I would think, you know, if you're being drawn to moons and stars, this is like a cosmological theme, right? So maybe that's your subconscious kind of guiding you towards like astrology, right? Or maybe getting to know your birth chart and connecting to that, and maybe going through your own spiritual evolution through means of astrology, and then working with, you know, those stones in those shapes. Like for example, if you're gonna look into your astrology chart and look at like your past you know, karma and fix that and work towards a better future, you're going to want labradorite, right? To be able to like bring up those deep rooted issues, do your shadow work and all that. So maybe getting like lab moons, lab stars and stuff like that, and just any other crystal associated with clearing up karma and maybe dream work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nana says, I'm not into skulls, but for some reason the lepidolite skull I purchased from Mrs. Moon was calling me. That is so cute. I love skulls. Nakando says, I feel I really don't like skulls and rough pieces. Is that weird?
No, and everybody has their things that they like. Like, I'm not a big fan of schools, but then I love spheres and towers. I love frog carvings. Like, nobody loves frog carvings, I think, but me. So everybody's gonna have their little like niche of things that they like, and there's probably something in terms of meaning to you. And yeah, there's nothing weird about that. Everybody likes certain stuff. It's cool. We're all different.
Totally. At the end of the day, it's just energy that you're working with. Like for me, I'm I actually, my moon is in Cancer. I'm a Virgo, but my moon is in Cancer, and my ascendant is Scorpio. So because my ascendant is Scorpio, Pluto is my chart ruler. So one, I come off kind of aggressive sometimes, and then two, I'm also very, you know, I'm about like getting into the deep, like nitty gritty stuff, right? And like that really deep, like knowledge, ancient knowledge, stuff like that, right? And so for me, I feel like I connect a lot with skulls because through my study of tarot, I've known to connect to the death card because it's associated with Pluto, which is associated to me, which is associated to the skull, which is, it's just like this roundabout like thing, right? Which is why we said earlier, like it's so important like to keep going, like not just don't just stop at your chakra system, you know, like keep exploring all these different paths in spirituality. You may not stick to one, and that's okay, but it's important to have a good background on all of them, at least know a little bit about all of them, because you'll start to see where everything connects, you know, and you'll start to see how what connects with you. And you'll start to kind of like get to know yourself, right, in a better way where you're able to, once you're able to understand yourself, you're able to help yourself. You know what I mean?
Totally, you know, and I think that also is what you're talking about, like the intuition, like you're knowing yourself and you're figuring out like when your inner like self is being like, that's not good for us, or hey, like we should do more of that. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think that comes along with it, you know, that is
Mm-hmm,
huge. And so if you're feeling like, oh, I'm super drawn to schools and it connects to a lot of things in my birth chart and I'm loving this, you know, you've made those connections and it builds your interest in your spiritual practice. And for other
mm-hmm.
be something else and it's the same thing. So it's so cool. I think that's what's so cool about it, you know.
Yeah, I love how um, we all, not, I shouldn't even say we, I feel like, all of these different aspects, right, of life have a lesson, right? So like, the energy of Pluto has a lesson that it brings to us. The energy of Leo has a lesson that it brings to you, and et cetera, et cetera. But in astrology, I've known that usually, or if there's like a particular sign that you are least attracted to, it's because you usually have something, there's something there that you need to work on within that sign, right? So yeah, I found that to be true in my practice, and I find that others repeat the same. So maybe it's worth giving that a try, trying to see like, what you do like, what you don't like, and then go from there and see like, because once you know, for example, like for me, like once I realized that I had such a strong connection to Pluto, then it kind of got like, okay, this is boring now. I want to know like I want to know this now, right? And like it's always it's hardest to connect with that you don't like. So for me, for example, I had a hard time connecting with Aries energy. Ironically, when the traditional ruler of Scorpio was Mars, not Pluto. Before we knew that Pluto existed, the ruler was Mars. But I always had that just a bad relationship with Aries, and through my own work and like working with my astrologers and stuff, I was able to realize why I didn't have a good relationship with that aspect in my life. And so you grow a lot more, right? When you're able to like connect with this energy and be open-minded and be like um, you know, open to new ideas and the lessons that these signs bring to us.
Oh,
Okay,
totally.
what time is it for you, Bella?
It's 7:50. It's not quite as late as you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not super late for me. It's like 10 o'clock. But I think we're a little over the hour already, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a little part, so it's all right.
Okay, so we'll give it let's give the people in the chat like 5 minutes to put in any last minute questions before we wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so fun.
It was
I
so
love it. Allie says, Bella, where is your practice located?
Ooh, right now I'm just doing distance because of COVID. I don't have a physical location, so I do distance chakra healing and I use a proxy when I do that. You can find me at C3 Crystals. I'm about to reopen my calendar. I did have to close it for a while because I had too much going on, but I'm going to reopen it soon. But you can send me a DM.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Um, yeah, I think I should probably get a proxy also. That's a really good idea.
It's nice so that way you don't have to, if you don't have a physical location, you can still do the work. And then I still do a Zoom session with people. So I do kind of a coaching with the crystals. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to do it and you don't see anything or you don't hear anything. Like it's live. So I'm there with you live on Zoom. You just have to have a place where you can lay down comfortably, where there's no distractions, no kiddos, no pets around. So you want to make sure you have that quiet solitude. And then I do like an assessment to kind of see a verbal assessment, and then I'll do the proxy assessment to make sure it's all matchy. And so we have like a conversation too. So I know some practitioners are just like, yeah, I'll do it. And then you don't know if it's happening. So I do everything live with the person on Zoom.
I love that. Kondo says you answered their question. That's awesome. Yeah, I I love that. So we're going to be going live every once a month, right?
Yeah,
We agreed once a month.
yeah.
So yeah, for the next 4 or 5 months, I think we stop at November. So every month we'll be doing one of these lives, you guys. So we'll have Bella here again next month. So
So fun.
and you don't even have to wait till then. If you don't have a question now, but maybe later on you're like, oh, I should have asked this. Like, don't don't be afraid to reach out to Bella and go ahead and DM, whatever question you have. I'm sure she's more than glad to help, and you guys can schedule a meeting so she can help you guys with your all your chakra healing needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so where else can everyone find you other than Instagram?
I do have an Etsy shop as well too. So now I'm kind of running all my purchases through Etsy because tax time this year was not fun for me. So I'm making it easy. I'm moving everything to Etsy. So that's pretty much where I am. I'm on IG right now. I don't have a website right now. I've just been using Instagram as my website, but I am having a website built, so we'll have more access to that soon.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. So what about any TikTok or Twitter?
I do have a TikTok
Anything else?
that I kind of use. I'm not super TikTok savvy, and we're building a YouTube as well too. So we'll have a YouTube channel that'll have kind of short little quickie classes coming out shortly, probably in July. So we're expanding. We have some more fun stuff coming along, and hopefully this too. This is really fun. I love connecting with another crystal shop owner and talking about all this because I think it's so fun. So it was really wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here with us. This was so fun. I really liked it. And so for our community here at the Moon Artisan, we're on IG, we're on YouTube, we are on TikTok as well, Twitter, and I think Mr. Moon Artisan really wants to start Twitch, but I'm like, do we need to? Do we really need to? We might. It might happen.
They say.
Kill King or Jill King says, girl, I'm not either. TikTok is confusing. TikTok is super confusing, especially for like I'm 30s, so I don't know about y'all, but I don't feel old, but I'm also like not one of these Gen Z kids who are just like so I'm just like, how how do you do this? Oh my God, I can't even with TikTok. Well, we're there also, and we do post, but it's very minimal. Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys again next month, and you can expect the video to be posted on YouTube and IGTV, and we'll be making a story later to announce when that is over there. So if you guys are hopping in late or seeing the replay, you can go ahead and find those videos there. Any last words, Bella?
No, thank you all for having me. This was so fun. Looking forward to next month.
Yes, same here.